Hello, year 4. Welcome to chapter 19 of Wonderscape. Here goes. Arthur shook Wren's arm. Wren, wake up! She was laying on her back with her mouth open, catching flies. Huh? Wren rolled her eyes onto her side and got a face full of grass. What the? She spluttered, batting away blades away. What happened? We fell asleep, Arthur said, nudging Cicely's shoulder. He glanced back at Cloud, trotting happily towards them. The lady who had been stroking him had disappeared. Oh, I feel like I was knocked over the head, Cicely growled, rubbing her temples. Arthur thought back to her armor's bar's warning. It must have been the last wonderway they travelled through. It had sapped all their energy. Cloud just recognized someone. He told them, getting to his feet. She was here, in this field. She wasn't wearing a wonder cloak, and she didn't have hover wheels for legs. So she must have been the hero of this realm. Did you see where she went, Rensax? He squinted into the distance. No, but that old safari bus is the only place people seem to be hanging around. We should try there. Cicely brushed soil off her leather jacket as she stood. How much time have we lost? Arthur read his watch. His mind was too fuzzy to make the children think about the calculations, but he knew Newton's wonder skill help him out. 8 hours, he concluded grimly, which means we've got just under 18 hours to get home. He tried not to think about what would happen if they didn't succeed. They'd come so far and had to believe they were getting closer. Shouldering their bag, they set off towards the bus. Although the mid-afternoon sun beat down on their backs, it was nothing compared to the stifling heat of the desert. They'd only been walking for a few minutes when 2 puffs of red gas burst into the air and swirled to form words. Wonderscape, Realm 42, Forest of the Leopard. Travel with wonder. The message was promptly followed by a riddle scroll, which landed in the grass. Cicely cleared her throat before reading the contents aloud. Once you've travelled the hero's road, seen the truth and broken the code, consider where your steps should lay. Look to the trips to show the way. Nature gives us all we need to save the future, plant a seed. Peering over Cicely's shoulder, Arthur took note of the curling, looped handwriting. So the realm challenge involves code breaking and gardening? He questioned why there wasn't any dirt in the loot, and why the realm challenge didn't sound as life-threatening as the others they had faced. He couldn't help feeling mistrustful. Nothing in the Wonderscape was that straightforward. As they trudged into the road, the safari bus came closer into view. It had a tatty canvas roof, windowless sides, and 6 oversized wheels that lifted its chassis high off the ground. 30 or so wanderers were bunched near the door at the front. Wren scanned the area, her fingers reaching for her bow. I don't see any mimics yet. Keep your eyes open. Edging closer, Arthur fiddled with the shadow pitch on his wrist, hoping it would do its job. After Tiburon's threatening message, he was certain that if they were caught, they wouldn't be going home. Splattered with baked mud, the safari bus was painted with the Hexperion logo and the tagline which read, Infinitos, never-ending fun. The wanderers chatted excitedly and they queued to get on. Arthur overheard a girl in a chameleon-skin wonder cloak discussing which realm to visit next. The next realm key I'm travelling to, Realm 12, she said, adjusting her cloak. I've heard it belongs to Frida Kahlo. Really? Her companion, a boy sporting a wood-grain textured wonder cloak, chuckled. I was thinking Realm 148 would be fun. Harry Houdini, a tall, thin man in a safari uniform, was standing with his back towards them, ushering everyone on board. Take your seats and start the challenge, he insisted in a dreary voice. If you can't fit on this vehicle, there'll be another one along in a few minutes. It wasn't until he turned round that Arthur realized why he sounded so lackadaisical. T-class, he hissed, pointing to the hoverboard at the end of the man's safari trousers. Cloud whimpered and ran behind Wren's combat boots. Although her neck stiffened, she lifted her chin. If Aramis Bar is right about these shadow patches, then we've got to act natural. Everything will be okay. With that, she bundled Cloud under the cloak and strode forwards. Arthur tried to stay calm as he fell in the back of the line, but the longer they waited, the sweater his hands became. He gritted his teeth as the wanderers in the front dwindled up the stairs. Come on, come on! When it was finally his turn, he felt a hand touch him on the shoulder. Cicely, But it wasn't Cicely. The tea-glass swept an icy gaze over Arthur's face and Wondercloak. For a half-stopping moment, Arthur thought he had been recognized. But then the memory pushed him forwards and droned. Keep it moving, we can't set off until you're all in your seats. As he glided away, Arthur let out a heavy sigh of relief. The shadow patch had worked, for now. Inside the safari bus were 10 rows of wooden benches and an aisle down the middle. Cloud wriggled out from under the wren's cloak and scampered to the back. When they found him, he was sitting on an empty bench, wagging his tail and gazing up at them expectantly, as to say, Look, I saved you a spot. Cicely gathered him into her lap and slid over so Arthur and Wren could sit down. The bus rocked and creaked as the other wanderers got settled. Fixed to the back of the bench in front was a steel handrail with a single Experian branded logo button in the center. Arthur wondered what it did, but he wasn't about to press it to find out. It was probably lethal. When everyone had finally taken their seats, the tea-glass whizzed on and closed the doors. Next, he grabbed a large wooden box and moved them along the central aisle. Take one each, he instructed, offering the contents of the box to the wanderers in front. Arthur watched the girl with the chameleon-skinned Wondercloak seated 3 rows ahead of them. She reached into the box, collected a small curved piece of metal, and hooked it over the top of her ear. Remember to pay attention to everything your tour guide tells you. The tea guide advised, and of course, travel with wonder. Tour guide, Wren repeated, collecting 3 of the mystery devices and passing them along. As soon as Arthur slid the contraption over his ear, he had to blink. A faint blue-tinted holographic screen now hovered a few centimeters from his face. When he turned his head, the screen moved with him. That's so cool, Cicely said, waving her fingers in front of her nose. She looked cross-eyed, but Arthur didn't have the heart to tell her. He found it curious that he couldn't see her screen. They must only be visible to the user. Good morning, wanderers, announced a husky French voice. Arthur started in familiar half-human, half-lizard, in a tailored purple suit materialized on his screen to the left. Welcome aboard this tour of Realm 42. It was the same reptile who had been their driver in the Pipsqueaksmobile. Arthur wondered if it was the same sort of famous entertainment personality in the 12th, 25th century. This will be a bumpy ride, Lizardman warned. But please hold on to the rail at all times. There is an emergency bell in front of you and every bench. If at the point you want to get off, give it a press. That's what the button does, Arthur realized. He grabbed hold of the handrail as the bus set off along the road. Its tires crackled and squeaked over the dirt. They soon turned into a potholed track with forest on one side and open grassing on the other. A warm breeze blew through the bus, carrying a scent of dry grass and animal dung. Arthur just realized he retrieved the riddle scrolled from his rucksack when Cicely tapped him on the arm. Look, she breathed. They're amazing! As she lifted her head and saw what was outside, he almost slipped off the bench. A herd of zebras stood only 100 meters away, flicking their tails as they stopped to graze. With so many stripes packed so tightly together, they almost certainly created an optical illusion. Arthur had only ever seen footage of these creatures in the wild documentaries. They didn't exactly roam the wild Peace Point estate. Even Wren was stunned. Her jaw hung loose as they drove past several buffalo, grazing at the roadside. I can't believe all these animals are here. Maybe the hero was someone who worked alongside them. The lizard-guided signaled with a scaly clawed hand. On the right, we're approaching a waterhole where you can view examples of giraffe, flamingo, and elephant. Sure enough, they drew alongside a large muddy pool dotted with spangly-legged flamingos, preening their coral pink feathers in the afternoon sun. As the water's edge, 2 adult giraffes lowered their heads to drink as a herd of leather-eared elephants lumbered closer behind them. Their combined squawking, grunting, and splashing was so loud, Arthur felt like it had been blown right into his ears. I know we're not on Earth anymore, Cicely said, but this place looks a lot like Africa, Arthur finished. It was just like he'd imagined it from the movies and TV. Sunbaked grassland that stretched onto the horizon, vibrant, noisy, thriving with wildlife. Cicely's hair sparkled like jewels as she leaned over the edge of the bus, resting her chin on her arms. I've always wanted to go there. My dad promised he'd take me to Abidjan one summer to show me where his parents grew up, she snorted. That never happened. Arthur interpreted from her tone that her dad had been too busy to take her. He thought how disheartened it must be to be promises broken, especially when they came from people you loved. His dad was always true to his word, something he had appreciated even more now. Abuja, that's in Nigeria, right? She nodded. He's Nigerian, and my mum's French. That's why this lump brand is called Afro Shiru. I think it's a stupid name, but popular in focus groups, apparently. Arthur's French wasn't great. He thought Shiru was either hare or horse, and given the circumstances, he plumped for the former. Cicely sat up straighter. Hey, I was just thinking, since we've been here in this realm, nothing has tried to kill us yet. Maybe that's why Clara had visited this place before, because it's safe. Arthur got a sinking feeling in his stomach. Nothing about Wonderscape was safe. Given they had faced hurtling avalanches, swinging boulders and rocket launchers in the last three realms, he decided something wasn't right. He read this riddle scroll again. Once you've travelled the hero's road, seen the truth and broken the code, the hero's road, he imagined, could well be one that they were riding along, but he hadn't come across any codes. Scanning the bus for clues, his attention eventually wandered to the underside of the canvas roof, which was plastered in posters advertising various Shakespearean merchandise. They all featured glossy photos, plus various enthusiastic taglines. Never forget your Shakespearean water bottle, wherever you're wandering. Everyone wants to torch from Shakespearean. Pro wanderers always wear their Shakespearean hiking boots. Only the best will do. Take home a Shakespearean wonder compass today. Arthur noticed the first letter of each slogan was written in different font to the rest. On a hunch, he tried stringing them together to see if they formed an acrostic, but the beginning four letters, MEPO, didn't make any sense. Then, when he read the letters backwards, the hairs on his back of his neck stiffened. The letters did spell something in reverse. 3 words. Open your eyes. Arthur had to check he wasn't seeing things, so he slid the device over his ear, and the unpleasant truth hit him like a mob of zebra poo in the face. Everything he had been looking at was a lie. Outside there had been grassland and endless shrubs, a field of blackened tree stumps spread into the distance. The flamingos were in fact small tree-cutting robots, busy sawing what remained of charred wood. Instead of 2 drafts drinking at the waterhole, a pair of heavy load cranes droned to and fro, lifting logs onto the back of a huge grey lorry. It was one of the fleet, parked right where the elephant's herd had been standing. Arthur went numb. The land had been decimated. There wasn't a single blade of grass left for a zebra to eat, no water for the giraffe to drink, no habitat for any living thing at all. The vibrant, bustling landscape he had marvelled at only moments before was gone. With a heavy heart, he reached over and slid off Cicely's earpiece. She blinked, then gasped, and covered her chest with her hand. Arthur elbowed Ren to get her to remove her device too. Her eyes widened as she beheld the scorched earth. Why? She asked simply. I don't know. Try as he might, Arthur couldn't find an answer. He skimmed the rest of the surroundings to see what else had changed. To the left, the forest had been driving along was now encircled by a dizzying high fence made of thorns and tree roots. The T-Class Mint was still sitting in the driver's seat, but the rest of the bus was felt emptier. Arthur couldn't see the girl with the chameleon skin wonder clock, and he was fairly sure half a dozen other wanderers were missing. Something happened while they were watching the animals, he said. Other passengers had got off the bus somehow. Ren gestured the Hexperian branded logo button on the front rail. That lizard dude said if we wanted to get up at any point, we just had to press this, she reminded them. Maybe that's what the others did. Just like that, the dots started to connect in Arthur's mind. Infinity tours, never-ending fun. He didn't even need access to his personal new encyclopedia to understand that. Happened. I understand. I think this tour never ends. He realized, now I think the wanderers who aren't here figured out sooner or later than we did. It's all part of the challenge. Once you've seen the truth and broken the code. With an unexpected confidence, he reached out and slammed his hand on the experience button. The effect was immediate. His seat collapsed from under him and he tumbled into the darkness. Chapter 20, coming soon.